So Michigan gets 5-star QB Bryce Underwood. He is he is or is a Michigan commit now. Was an LSU commit. They flipped him. And just looking at all of the um, figures here, so comparing the offers, pretty much what LSU offered him was 6 million over 4 years,
Oh, okay.
if you will, if he's there for 4 years. I'm sorry, LSU offered him 6 million a year. Michigan's offer 12 million over 4 years, so it's 3 million a year he's making. As the first overall pick in the NFL draft, right now and it goes down by each pick as you go further down the picks in the NFL draft. But like Caleb Williams, for example, he signed for I think 31 million. That's the cap that you can
Yeah.
get. That's over 5 years, and then you address your rookie deal at the end. So let me see here. Let me think. Najee Harris is what, 21? So this offseason, I think, is when they can pick up his 5th-year option. I don't know if they will or not, but
No.
um, yeah. So Michigan offered him 12 million over 4 years. There's a lot of speculation as to how he got this money. Uh, Dave Portnoy of Barstool Sports said that, who is a Michigan alum, said that he would drop like 10, 20 million to get a quarterback. Ultimately he was given a lot of credit, he said, but he said he had, I'm getting tons of credit for flipping Bryce. While I love the credit, reality is I played a tiny role. Rest assured, there are Michigan men and women out there making things happen behind the scenes. I've never been more confident that Michigan is poised to dominate in this new world. Portnoy added, and they've been dominating Ohio State. I mean, we've said it. I've said it a million times. NIL money. If you don't have a coach, don't have a quarterback, doesn't mean jack. Doesn't mean
Right.
jack. Because Ohio State's roster is 20 million, and they haven't beat Ohio State or Michigan in like 3 years.
Right.
Um, Now, if you have a good coach and you have a quarterback like this, sky's the limit. You can do anything you want. Um, so in this case, yes, the money does matter. But where is that money going? I mean, let's say Penn State got this kid, right?
Right.
It doesn't really mean much to me because we still have James Franklin as the head coach. Um, we're never going to win anything meaningful with James Franklin as the head coach. I mean, everyone can be as optimistic as they want. It's never going to happen. We're never going to win anything meaningful. We might get lucky, but we're never ever going to beat a Kirby Smart team, a Kalen DeBoer team, a Josh Heupel team. We're never going to beat a um, Oregon Dan Lanning team. Probably never going to beat Ryan Day Ohio State team. It's just not going to happen.
Nope.
It'll never happen. If we get a good SEC team coming into Beaver Stadium for our first playoff game, whatever amount of money you have in your savings, whatever amount of money you have, you know, bet your whole house on whoever plays Penn State and Beaver Stadium if they're from the SEC. Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia. There's no way on God's green earth that we're beating them. There's no way. And I'm not trying to be pessimistic. I'm not trying to be negative. I just speak. I like to speak honestly. I don't even like to say like I'm just being realistic. I don't even like to say that. I'm going based off the reality and the history of things. Okay? So, if you don't like the way I speak now, wait until we start winning and you start getting my opinion when we're winning. You're going to really like that because then I'm going to be speaking honestly about a team that I think can win. And under James Franklin, that will never happen. But um, with in regards to the power rankings, like Tyler Warren and Luke Reynolds, they were the highest graded tight ends this past week, and Drew Aller's up there, highest graded quarterbacks, and we get this guy, that guy in the portal or recruit. unfortunately, man, it doesn't mean anything because it doesn't matter how good you are. If you come to Penn State under James Franklin, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. We could have Trevor Lawrence times 10. To this day, I think the highest rated quarterback ever. Arch Manning might have been a little higher, but we could get him at Penn State, and we're still not winning because they would ruin him. I mean, Drew Aller, if that kid went to like Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, you know how much better he would be? I think he'd be way better than what he is now. So that's just the reality of the situation. But people say, "Oh, he has progressed. He's gotten better." Okay, well, if mediocrity is your standard, then yeah, sure, yeah, he's progressed for sure. He's progressed from preschool to kindergarten. He hasn't progressed that much. So,
I mean, what you're talking about right now is like, when you're at your job and you're underperforming, you get yelled at. And when you do your job, nothing happens. It's kind of the situation, I think, with Drew Aller, where it's like, we yelled at the dude because he wasn't doing his job last year. Now he's doing his job this year. And it's like, well, do you expect me to give you praise? Because again, I that's what you always get with that attitude. It's like, no, you're doing your job. That's what I expected. So it's definitely what you're talking about. It's just all about coaching. I mean, you named every SEC team, and yeah, the reason why I would choose them, you're right, over Penn State is because of coaching. It's just where it's at. They know how to prepare these guys for whatever scheme they need to perform to make us look like we don't have the better recruit or we're not the better team on the field. I mean, and again, NIL landscape, that's exactly what brings that in. I mean, you're talking about guys that you're looking for to elevate every ounce of what you're trying to do. I mean, yes, play calling is where it's at for every situation on both sides. Yes, that's the standard when it comes to playing football. If you don't have a good play, you can't execute. You can't execute it without the best options, and that's the thing. We can pay you to be the best option. If I was to put a payroll on Penn State right now, they probably, like, if the average team was like, I'd say 7-8 million, if that was the average team in the Big Ten, like collectively throughout all the players on your team. I mean, I would like to think that we would be, like for each player, for every, like their whole deals, 7-8 million for the entire thing. I mean, I would probably put us, where would we be? I mean, are we even in the top 25, top 50?
So we're top 25 for 386 million.
Okay. And how many players do you have on? I mean, do you know the number for every guy we have on the line?
Like roughly 100 guys.
Yeah. So I mean, if
yeah, but that's a lot of money, 386 million.
Yes, I mean, you're looking at $3.5 million for every guy, if that's the case. I mean,
yeah, and that's like, I think that's altogether like donations.
3.86. Yes, I can do math in my head.
Yeah, so it's like, like Aller, I think he's a millionaire. Singleton's a millionaire.
Should be.
Guys like that. Abdul Carter's a millionaire. But 386 million, that's a lot. I mean, I don't know how that's divided up. It's like donor dollars. It's and again, this number, can you see my mouse?
Yes.
This number right here would be way higher, but it's not because no one likes Franklin, including alumni and rich alumni. Now, again, I don't know exactly how this is divided up. It could be on this article. I didn't read it. I just looked up the top.
Right.
And then you got Ohio State's at 11 with 536 million. 20 million in NIL deals. Florida State is 10. That's got to drop. Auburn's up there.
Yeah, just give me the top 10. I want to see these.
Oklahoma, LSU. Oklahoma State. I mean, again, like Oklahoma State, how are they up there? Like, they're not even close to us.
Right.
In terms of prestige. And
well,
Georgia
everything's bigger in Texas.
Yeah, Georgia's 5. Florida is 4. That's crazy because they're terrible. Texas is 3. Texas A&M is 2. And then Oregon is 1 with nearly $1 billion.
Oh my gosh!
969 million. So Now, again, it comes down to the coaching, man. Like Signetti at Indiana. Let's look at Indiana. Where are they at?
Oh, they got to be like 60s, 70s.
I'll just control F it. They're 28 at
Oh,
351.
well,
All right. Not that far behind us.
not that far
Now, do you
behind us,
think?
no.
Now, do you think with this great coach that they have and this season that they're having, if they beat Ohio State tomorrow, what's this number going to be at next year? I mean, they're almost like Colorado right now in terms of like momentum and popularity.
I would
I
say
mean, they're just going to get.
550.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to
Yeah.
go up big time. I mean, they could jump into the top 10, but that's what a good coach does. So, again, it comes down to the coaching, but, you know, broad landscape, this kid just got 10.5 million, 12 million, 3 million a year. That's literally half of what he could make as the first overall pick. And the thing about NIL and all this stuff is it's going to hurt the NFL, which it should. Screw the NFL.
Should.
I mean, they're organization wise, they've really turned a lot of people away for a few reasons. A lot of it is political. And two, they try to claim safety. They try to make the game safer. One, they don't care, in my opinion, about the safety of the players. They never did. They never will. These new rules are simply just to cover them. And what it's done, and how you know that it's not about player safety. It's about the NFL and their brand and the shield and
$1 trillion industry.
yeah, and like it's about the NFL and covering themselves lawsuits because the game of football has gotten worse. I mean, there's way too many rules. There's way too many penalties like on people. There's way too many protection penalties against guys like Patrick Mahomes and guys like that. Man, people aren't gonna like me saying this, but Tom Brady really wasn't protected that much in the NFL. I mean,
Hmm.
he had some penalties, absolutely, against him that may not go against anyone else, but Patrick Mahomes is the king of getting penalties called on him that aren't called on really anyone else.
Yeah.
It's so blatantly obvious, but you know, college players are getting paid this. Okay, so you're making this amount of money, right?
Hmm.
You go to the NFL, give yourself like a 5-year window. Be like, I'm going to go into the NFL. I'm going to try to make a team better, try to win a Super Bowl. But if it doesn't work out, I'm just going to take the money and run. Bryce Underwood right now, he has $12 million. He will have $12 million. If he's in the top 5, he's going to be making another $25 plus million. He's got almost $40 million, and he could be out of the NFL by like 23, 24 years old. Imagine having $40 million at 24. I mean, why play football other than the fact that you're competitive and you want to win? And of course, that's a huge, huge driving factor. Any athlete understands that, but you're going to stay in the NFL, get your head bashed in, get like 10 surgeries, barely be able to walk when you're 30 years old. Just, you're going to leave, man. Leave, take your money, and say, I am going to start a podcast. I'm going to go do broadcasting. I mean, as an athlete, you open up a lot of doors. So, you know, anybody that's played football, you know, it takes a toll on your body. I mean, I just from playing high school, like concussions and, you know, I played on a fractured foot. Uh, I mean, like almost all of my fingers have been pointed in the wrong direction at least once. I mean, just shoulders and elbows and knees, and I mean, it takes its toll on you for sure. So if you're a high Division 1 into the NFL, your body has taken a huge toll with the hits. And I mean, look at Aaron Hernandez, man. That guy's brain was absolutely cooked by the time he died. I mean, his brain was totally damaged, like totally demolished. They said in 10 years he probably would have been dead. That's how damaged his brain was. And he was only 27. And a guy like that, you got to ask yourself if you're an NFL player, like, okay, can that happen to me? I mean, it's unbelievable how bad a shape he was in. And then Junior Seau, I mean, there's lots of Mike Webster.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Mike Webster's, the front of his head, like the entire front of his brain was like black because it was so damaged from playing center. You know, he didn't use his arms when he went to block. He used his head. And his brain was totally destroyed. Totally
Wow.
destroyed. So, you know, you have to ask yourself this question, is the NFL worth it? That's one aspect of this kid making this much money. He flipped from LSU to Michigan. Michigan is not Michigan of last year. He flipped from LSU to Michigan. LSU's got a pretty good coach in my opinion. Michigan not so much. Um, how does this affect other schools? Well, you just got an example of what you need to do to get kids like that. Penn
Yeah.
State will never ever do that as long as Franklin is the coach because no one likes him. And I say that, what's the word? I say that not tongue in cheek, but I can't say that factually because in reality, does everyone hate Franklin? Probably not, no. But I say no one likes him, meaning majority of fans don't like him. So no fans, rich alumni at Penn State, I think are going to put this much money into the program when they know what I think I know and you know and Brett knows, that if they come to Penn State, they may develop, sure, but they're not going to win anything meaningful. So I don't think any fan, if I'm a rich alumni right now, I'm alumni, not rich yet, but I'm alumni. If I'm a rich alumni, right, I'm not giving any big dollars to Penn State right now if Franklin's the coach because I know it's not going to mean anything. I mean, if we have like the number one quarterback, a player of the century type recruit, I'm not putting 10 million towards that because I know if he comes to Penn State, it doesn't matter how good he is, Franklin's still the coach. So I think that's the mindset of a lot of fans for Penn State right now. So at the end of the day, what this means for the rest of college football is you see what they just did? That's what you have to do. And every program in the country right now, except Michigan, is pretty much looking at themselves right now like, man, we need to do that too, pretty much. If you want to get the best players like this kid, like I'm pretty sure this kid's a generational talent. So if you're going to get a kid like that, this is what you have to do. You have to drop big money. And that's a ton of money. $10.5 million is a ton of money. So I just don't think it's ever going to happen at Penn State until they make the changes necessary at the coaching position. It's just never going to get there, man. It just won't. Because I can tell you what's going to happen this year. We're probably going to win out. We're going to run into this guy or this guy
Mm-hmm.
or these guys, and we're screwed. There's no way we're winning that game. James Franklin, and, you know, I don't want to say anything bad about anybody. I don't want to say anything bad about him, but he's arrogant. He carries himself with, he doesn't take a lot of accountability. I think he's pretty insecure about his position. And, I mean, when you come out and say after a loss, half the teams in college football would kill to have what we have. That is, I'm not calling him dumb, but that's one of the dumbest things you could possibly say as a head coach. That is just, you're admitting that you accept mediocrity, and it shows. So, that's one of the absolutely dumbest things you could possibly say as a head coach. He says it. He never takes accountability. blaming the refs, blaming the kids. We're not an elite team yet. We're good. We're great. We're not elite. It starts with the head coach, and he's never going to take accountability. He's never going to accept responsibility for it, and he's just going to continue to accept mediocrity. So he says he looks himself in the mirror. Well, I don't know if it's a real mirror, Franklin, because I don't know what you're seeing. I don't know if you're looking at a wall. I don't know if you're looking into the sky. I don't know what you're looking at. I don't know where this mirror is at, but you're not looking hard enough. That's for sure. And it comes out of your mouth. But Jared, I'm not going to go on a rant. But yeah, so just overall aspect, man. I don't know if this is ever going to happen at Penn State, but this is a pretty historic deal that just happened.